price of cognitive dissonance and delusion.
Welcome back to the price of delusion and cognitive dissonance and the propaganda that we all fall for because of it. So, as you know, I love always expressing how they use our intergenerational trauma in order to manipulate us and push us in certain directions. So I always say how much we as Black Americans, because of the intergenerational trauma and the things that we have dealt with as a result of quote unquote the transatlantic slave trade and a whole bunch of other shit. But I want to show you one, how, and what I'm about to say may sound strange, but just walk with me and just walk with me. But I'm going to show you how our government uses racism and white supremacy to keep all of us in the dark. When I tell you that there is a system that is designed to keep us systematically in the dark about everything that is truly capable and of all the great advancements in humanity has actually come to be able to do. Now, again, this may sound strange, but you can look up all the patents for everything I'm about to show you. Now, they have a rule where if a patent is considered a threat to national security, they can actually confiscate said patent and technology and put it behind top secret wall, and it'll never be heard from again because it'll offset or disrupt the current financial ecosystem, i.e. the petrodollar. So that being said, I want to show you something that has been documented and verified. I'm going to show you the story of Stanley Meyer and why it connects to everything going on now.
Age-old dream becoming a reality. A local inventor has discovered a way, hear this, to use water to run your car.
It's a major breakthrough that will no doubt make motorists happy. And as Ralph Robinson explains, the Pentagon is also showing lots of interest in this project.
Water has always been considered a precious commodity, but Stan Meyer's invention may make it even more valuable. He has developed what's called a water fuel cell. It has taken the place of his old gas tank. The water fuel cell breaks down water molecules into oxygen and hydrogen. The hydrogen is used to run his dune buggy.
I don't care if you use rainwater, well water, city water, ocean water. If you don't have any fresh water, go ahead and use snow. If you don't have any snow available to you, then use salt water because there's no adverse effect to the fuel cell.
Meyer started working on this project 4 years ago. He's not a scientist. He isn't even a chemist. In fact, he never graduated from college. Myers was determined, he says, to design something to protect this country from oil embargoes.
And we have calculated that if we take the dune buggy from Los Angeles to New York, we would roughly use 22 gallons of water.
The Pentagon flew a lieutenant colonel in last week to look at Meyer's invention. There's talk of possibly using it in the Star Wars defense program and to run army tanks. Myers is currently perfecting a water fuel cell for cars. It will cost about $1,500. He says it won't need any maintenance, and you won't have to replace it. It'll be at least 2 years before the fuel system goes into mass production. The day it happens will be one the fuel industry hates, but it'll put a smile on the face of those who've had to say at one time or another, fill her up. I'm Ralph Robinson.
As you can see, many patents have already been received, and many more are forthcoming. To date, over 42 patents have been applied for.
All right. Now, that being said, right, I want you to just bear with me because I want to show you what happened to Stanley Meyer. Now, remember, for those of you who don't know, the Star Wars program was something that was started under President Reagan because he was waiting for the world to unite under one common goal because somebody from outside this star system or solar system would be coming here and all of us would have to unite under one world government. But anyways, let me show you exactly what happened to Mr. Stanley Meyer, who was in contact with the Pentagon to sell his technology that was efficient enough to drive a car from Los Angeles to New York on 22 gallons of water. And it didn't have to be fresh or clean water. It could be any water. All right, this is going to further break down what happened to Mr. Stanley Meyer.
if we take the dune buggy from Los Angeles to New York, we would roughly use 22 gallons of...
What if I told you that a man invented a car that could run entirely on water? Yes, water. And just days after revealing it, he was dead. What if his death wasn't an accident, but something far more sinister? In the 1990s, Stanley Meyer claimed he had cracked the code to free the world from oil dependence. But before he could share his groundbreaking discovery with the world, he mysteriously died. Was it a natural cause? Or was someone willing to kill to keep this world-changing technology hidden forever? Stanley Meyer wasn't your average inventor. A man obsessed with finding sustainable energy solutions, Meyer was convinced that he had discovered the key to solving the world's energy crisis. In the 1990s, when the world was waking up to the devastating environmental consequences of fossil fuels, Meyer's invention could...
Now, I'm not going to let that play out for the whole 5 minutes because you basically get it. This was in a time when we were going through the oil embargoes right after the 70s with the oil crisis that they went through and everything. And like I said, he had contracts where he was working with the Pentagon. But you see, at that time, they were saying in 2 years it would be in mass production at a cost of $1,500, which means that the petrodollar would have become non-existent. And just like that, the global economy would have been done because the petrodollar would have no longer been needed because no one would have needed oil to burn anymore to move anything or create electricity. We could use literal water. And now we have clean burning energy for the whole world and no fossil fuels needed. But let me explain to you how that actually connects to your intergenerational trauma and how they use white supremacy to play in your face. Now, I don't know if many of you remember, but a few years back, I want to say maybe about 10 years ago, there was a mass shooting in upstate New York. And I never forget, people, you always get mad at me, but my brain picks up odd things. And I remember when that happened, I said something about that doesn't seem right because I remember the shooter went hours outside of his way, away from his community to go commit this mass shooting in a black neighborhood. But pay attention.
And new details concerning the investigation into an 18-year-old accused of killing 10 people in a mass shooting in Buffalo, New York. Peyton Gendron is accused of first-degree murder in the shooting. Investigators are now looking into his background, saying that he had already been on police radar and had threatened to attack his high school last year.
Among the 10 people who were killed was 86-year-old Ruth Whitfield, a mother to one of Buffalo's retired fire commissioners. Ruth was gunned down while shopping for groceries. She had just visited her husband in the nursing home. Her son was working on the scene when he found out his mother was one of the victims.
Investigators also now believe the shooting to have been racially motivated, and the shooter had researched the demographics of the town prior to shooting with the express purpose of killing as many African-American people as possible. News4Jack's reporter Corley Pill spoke with a civil rights attorney about the evidence that points to his rampage possibly being a hate crime.
I spoke with an attorney who is not affiliated with this case, but says this is hate crime one-on-one. Investigators believe Gendron searched demographics near the store and looked for communities that had a large African-American population. 13 people, 11 African-American and 2 white, shot at this Buffalo supermarket Saturday afternoon. 10 of them died. The accused shooter, 18-year-old Peyton Gendron, is believed to have traveled 200 miles to the predominantly black neighborhood where he opened fire.
It's textbook racially motivated.
Gendron appeared in court where he was arraigned on first-degree murder. Detectives say he wore tactical gear and body armor as he live-streamed the rampage on the social media platform Twitch before surrendering to authorities. His semi-automatic gun had the N-word written on the barrel and the number 14, a known white supremacist slogan, according to officials. Before the mass shooting, investigators believe Gendron posted a 180-page manifesto on the internet detailing a plan for an attack and his support for several mass murderers.
Mass shootings.
Reginald Reeves, an attorney not affiliated with this case.
All right, I had to stop, and please forgive me. But did you hear how thick they was pouring it on? A multi-page manifesto, his hate. He had the N-word written on his gun. He wanted to get maximum destruction for as many black bodies as he could, and they had to be African Americans, cause y'all niggas gotta die, nigga, die! Well, let me show you one thing. All right, now remember what you just saw about how all this went down and how the media is telling you it played out. How into detail they were to prove to you that this was a hate crime. Well, let me show you who worked in this store who 1 month prior to this happening himself was on the local New York State news. Pay attention.
Aaron Salter Jr. wore many hats in his life: retired police officer, substitute teacher, but one of his true passions was science. He built a lab in his garage where he spent countless hours working to develop an engine that could run on water.
It's not running off of gas fuel? No, there's no gas fuel. No gas fuel.
Sadly, for all he was in life, the world is learning his story because of the courage he displayed doing his job, protecting his community. Working security at the Tops grocery store, Salter engaged the shooter, who was heavily protected by body armor.
We have evidence that he struck him at least one time, and that unfortunately had no effect.
Not everyone would have made the same choice, to run towards gunfire. And with his experience, 30 years on the Buffalo police force, he had to have guessed the shooter had an assault rifle. Yet Salter tried, ultimately in vain, to save the lives of others.
Aaron was, a great individual, and I know he, in his heart, he wanted to save as many people as he could. And it didn't surprise me to hear that he engaged the guy right away that tried to stop him.
Salter retired from the Buffalo police force in 2018, and by all accounts, he didn't need this job at Tops, working security.
Surviving a job in law enforcement and making retirement, it's a big deal for you personally and for your family, because they expect, you can kind of ride it out now and enjoy your life.
But Salter chose to continue serving his community because he believed he could make it better. Now his former colleagues are trying to get him reinstated into that police force for a single day so his city can honor him with the formal police funeral they say he deserves. Mike Trollet, Global News.
And
Do you believe in coincidences? Or what's the chances of another man almost 30 years later, same exact technology, same exact fate? Except last time it was cardiac arrest. And before he killed over, he told his brother, they poisoned me. But this time it's different demographics, so we gotta keep the Negroes calm. And we can't tell them that he also invented a car that ran on water, which meant he saved, or not saved, but solved our reliance on fossil fuel, and would then therefore change the dynamic of the global economic petrodollar, which would have basically nullified the global economy because everyone would have had access to electricity because generators could run on water. Clean water, dirty water, salt water, sewage water, ice water, snow, but water. And the output after the combustion was just gas, hydrogen, water, oxygen, which went right back into the ecosystem. And when it just came back down as more water. But my point is this, right? We got so stuck up on white supremacy and the big bad boogeyman, word to APAC, that nobody even knew that this man created a car that fucking ran on water and lost his life for it because he was trying to patent it, just like the man before him did. But my question is this: how long have we had cars that ran on water? How long have we cracked the code to anti-gravity? Do we have underground cities, or as they call them, dumb, deep underground military bases? How many of you out there paying attention to the patents of all the technologies that exist right there in your midst every day that none of us are paying attention to? But people don't mind because it's all for entertainment purposes only. It was a dream that I had because it's all a figment of my imagination because I enjoy life. And yeah, this is episode we ain't keeping count of the price of cognitive dissonance and delusion and the propaganda that we all fell for because of it. I think it's high time that we as a people, Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, Solon, Eidos, copper color indigenous races, Hebrew Israelites, the Murs, whatever misnomer you choose to identify, because if your lineage ties back here to before the Emancipation Proclamation, I'm simply talking to you. And I mean no disrespect to any label that anyone falls under or identifies with, because I'm talking to all of us. But there's a reason that they're handling us the way that they are. And there's a reason that they continue to use our intergenerational trauma to keep us in check. Because you see, when we got brothers like this one creating cars and basically combustible engines that run on water, and there's a few things I'm going to show you down the line too. Black Wall Street should have been rebuilt decades ago. And there should be one in every state. Multiple in every state. We actually have no excuses, and it is what it is. But I'm going to slide out of here on that note. Remember, realize, and transparency forces accountability. Y'all keep your eyes to the stars, keep that head on the swivel, because we in the diabolical den of demons, aka the Viper's Pit. Y'all be safe out there and stay dangerous.